Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Justina Emily, and you already know we are here at Girl Sound Studios, and this is Girl Sound Podcast. And thank you so much for all the love and all the support, and thank you for tuning in, whether you are on the go or just chilling, sipping at home. Okay, let's get on with the show. I am excited to have our guest for today. It is the one and only Amac. Hey! Thank you and welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
I know. It's so good to meet you. I heard a lot of good things about you.
Yeah, I would agree with all of them.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, like in the industry, because I do know that you're an engineer, you're a producer, right?
For sure. So I've been trying this thing where I introduce myself as like, yeah. So Allie Amac McGuire, right?
Hey.
And I like struggle between like whether I'm Allie or Amac like all the time for the eternity of the times that I've had these names.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to like introduce myself as like, hey, what's up? I'm Amac and I make an impact.
Hey,
Yeah,
I like
go.
that.
Like a high five. And, you know, we'll get into why that is. But in the industry, I'm a mix engineer, vocal producer, songwriter, arranger, recorder, you know, all of the things, really. Minus being I don't make beats anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
And when did it, like, when you started all that, like, what started the journey into music?
You know, that's just such an interesting question for me still to this day. Because so I was going to college to be a journalist. And I was like failing everything, no matter how hard I tried. I found out much later in my life that I was really dyslexic, and I think that maybe played a little into something. But one day I like got back a paper that I had failed miserably, but thought I had done so good on it. I was like,
I aced it.
Yeah, and it was just like, and you know, and it was like a D, and you know, in college a D's an F, like, so I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I went and I dropped out like immediately after that class without telling anybody. And I went in my car, like I still lived with my parents at the time, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to like tell them just like any kind of plan that I have because I just did this. And I decided that I was gonna do music in the car that day because one time when I was 15, I wanted an MPC because I'm a huge hip hop head. I love Biggie Smalls and like that's what I wanted to do, but nobody wanted to support that at the time.
Right.
And I was like, for whatever reason in the car that day, whether it came straight from Biggie himself, I don't know, but it was like, you're gonna do music.
Right.
And I went to the library and I searched like audio schools. And actually at that point in time, I wanted to be a producer. I wanted to make beats. But for whatever reason, I went to audio engineering school. Like, and I still to this day, like, I really don't know what made me do that other than I feel like it was what I was supposed to do.
It's like those moments where it's like aha moments where you're just like, oh man, okay, I got it. What is the most difficult thing though when you're starting in the industry for you?
Well, man, I mean, so many things, but getting into the industry, right? You know, I didn't know anybody who did music professionally at all. So it was like, how do you do that? You know, I went to audio school, but because like also I didn't know anything about audio engineering when I went there. And I just did like a 6-month course because I'm like so impatient, you know. Like I'm not going to 4-year college. I just want to get some information and go out into the world and do it. So I still was barely introduced to the language after 6 months, but I would just kind of go out and talk to anyone who was willing to talk to me about it. I mean, I think that's how you really do anything in life that you don't know how to do.
Right.
And, you know, that got me into some pretty sketchy situations. But, you know, when you're like 20,
yeah,
you don't know what sketchy is.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure, I'll be there.
Yeah. That sounds fun. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah. Sorry, I was stalking you a little bit going through, you know, your Instagram and all that. And I seen that you're a motivational speaker. Is that something that just kind of recently fell into your lap?
Yeah, I would say that the thought to become a speaker happened like at the end of 2022. And I've been, you know, working towards that kind of for like the last year. But I really, you know, I've always really felt called to help people and to inspire people and I've always like seen that I'm able to do that. So I just, wanted to encourage people to live their dreams in a healthy way, and in a healthier way than I did.
What is like some of the, if you would like to talk about it, is there some things where you're just like, I want to share with people? I know it's a part of my life that I'm not really proud of, but
ooh,
yeah,
a part of my life that I'm not really proud of.
But like a part of your life that you're not really proud of, that you can literally sit down and like talk to somebody that it's like, hey, like you should really know this. This is what I've gone through. Maybe it will help you. Like a go gym.
No, for sure. I really appreciate that question. I think it's really important and something that we don't talk about a lot. I think a lot of the times we gloss over like those really hard times. Like it's like I did this thing and it was really hard, but then I made it through, and like you're like, oh, that was like 3 words about the struggle, but
yeah,
how long did it really last? So, something, I've been in a lot of situations that I stayed in a lot longer than I should have. That there were like plenty of signs of like, this isn't good for you. This isn't a healthy environment. Being a woman in the industry too, like the amount of, respect wavers,
yes,
heavily. And, sometimes, your talent shines so much, but the respect still isn't there, but they need you. And, I think a lot when you're in these situations, especially when you're looking to be successful and to get to a high level in the music industry, I mean, it's told to you, like, stay in these situations. You've got to take it. That's how you get there. And our validation is so tied up in getting a big record, working with a big person, that, we can sacrifice ourselves a lot, and there's a situation where I was working with an artist, for like 3.5 years, and I was their engineer. And, the reason I ended up getting out of that situation was because, like, I mean, I got cursed out and like threatened to be beat up over what I thought about a track list, like something so small. But, before that, there were a lot of other things that happened, and there were things like being said, to me, like, yeah, well, like if you were a dude, like I wouldn't even stop, him from beating you up right now over like nothing.
Yeah.
And ooh, man, I've never said this story like on camera before. Here's
like,
my arm.
Yeah, I was like, I just felt like I had to touch you. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, and those things. But I'm far from the only engineer who's ever been threatened to be beat up in a session. And or I'm sure there's plenty who have been.
Yeah.
So I think seeing the signs of like, I'm thankful that after that night, there was a whole project I was supposed to mix, and I hit them up the next day and I said, here are all your files, please, like, get someone else to do this. I'm not going to do any more sessions with you guys. This is over. And I know there are plenty of people who would have went back, and I went back a number of times that I shouldn't have. And eventually I kind of, came to the understanding that, a lot of that again was tied up in my validation and whether or not I thought I was worthy enough of certain things, and also, a big reflection of how much I loved myself and what I was willing, to stay in, or what I needed to walk away from.
Right. Because it's those moments that, oh man, for me it was people pleasing. I've always been a people pleaser all my life, and being in the industry, like I wasn't looking to get into the industry. I just happened to get an opportunity and I took it because it was like, well, how many people what people would do to get in the position I was in. So I should be grateful, right? It's right. Like, you should be grateful for this opportunity. And then you're in that moment, and then you're like, you have those moments where you're just like, I'm not really happy. I'm making everyone else happy, or trying to make them happy. And it's that constant like validation of like, am I even good enough to be in the position? And it's, it's almost it's very lonely to be there in that place. So I do give you love, and like, you know, just knowing that I've been in that same position and just like not feeling respected and not feeling worthy enough. But for you to be here, like we said, like, you know, it's, oh yeah, well, we had, you know, oh, but we got through it, you know, it's still here. It's still very much in the industry, and and it's never going to go away.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. And, you know, I just, like, my message is to really, like, choose yourself. And hopefully, like, people choose themselves a little sooner than I chose myself. And it's really hard to sometimes see, like, what is the difference between this is just hard and difficult.
I was going to say that.
Right? And this is, like, abusive. Like, you know, sometimes because you're like, okay, like, if I can just, like, grind this out. But there's a difference between somebody being hard on you and being disrespectful to you, right?
Right.
Like, and these are the things, like, that we have to figure out, like, with ourselves of, okay, like, look, am I just scared? Or am I scared?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That just came up right now. But for real though, you know, and like, we have to, and it's scary, like, for people in general, you know, you get yourself into a situation, and look, don't get me wrong, like, I loved a lot of that time, and a lot of great things happen there, you know, with the good comes the bad, and vice versa. But I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Okay. Wait, what was I saying?
The good with the bad.
Yeah, but what happened before that?
No,
we're gonna edit this out.
Sorry, Joe.
Sorry, Joe.
It was like when you know it's bad, or when it's hard, or when it's difficult.
Right.
Like when you
were in a tough situation.
You're in
you
a
got put in a tough situation with a friend.
Oh man, let's just move on. I think I wrapped it up. We'll come back.
If you ask like another question, I can clean cut.
Yeah,
okay.
Ask another question. Thanks.
For somebody right here, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, you don't gotta clap.
Roger. For somebody who is just starting out in the industry, what is for you, what is the difference between this is hard or when I should stop, or if like this is not working?
Well, for sure, I think, you know, that's what I'm saying, right? There's the good and the bad, and when it's too much. But okay, now I remember. As you know, as humans, like, when we're in something that's comfortable, right, or something that we think that can help get us ahead, like, we're afraid that if we walk away from that, we're never gonna get it again.
Yeah.
Like, so we're like, no, this is a good situation, this is gonna get me to where I need to go. But like, knowing, okay, like, I really don't feel good every time I leave here. Like, that's what it is. Not like I feel pushed, like, I don't feel good, this is draining from my life. Every time I get a call from this person, I'm like, yeah, right, like,
yeah,
like, okay, like, but I can, it's just 4 days, you know, they don't live here, it's just 4 days this week, I can get through it, kind of stuff. Or just everything seems like kind of like a fight, a struggle, you know, not like I could have done better today, like, in those kind of ways. But knowing, like, all right, like, I don't want to feel that way. We should never, when we get like messages from people, like, that's a message from our body that's like, yo,
yeah,
like, this isn't
back
great
into it. Yeah.
Right. So I think, like, that's how you know. And then you have to believe and know that when you leave there, you're opening up space for something that you actually want. And we have to just, and it's so scary because we don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in an hour from now. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't want to know what's going to happen in 2 months. But I'm just like, I know that if I leave this space, I can figure it out. But I spent so much time not leaving myself enough space for better situations. And I eventually just found myself in so many toxic situations because of so many toxic narratives in the music industry, that you do have to take the abuse, that you do have to never sleep for years, that you miss every important event in your life for the music, you know, and that's what was like told to me by mentors too. And well, that's how they had to come up, but we have to like change that now. We have to, there are great environments in the entertainment industry. There are good people in the entertainment industry, but because we think like you've only got one shot, you think this is your shot. If I leave it, I don't get another one.
Right.
That's not true. You have as many shots as you want to take, and you never know. Like, you know, we think, oh, we're supposed to have all of our biggest records in 5 years, and then it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. But it's like, you know, maybe it's 10 years away. Like, that's just how life goes. Like, we've got to be here for the experience of it all.
Yeah. And I think social media has a lot to do with that. Social media, how do you do it? Because
God, I don't know.
Because you do post, like, it seems like you have a good momentum, you know, like, you post. For me, it's draining.
I mean, it's something that, you know, I'm kind of struggling with currently, coming from a place where, I mean, I did content every day. I did good content every day, and that was with tutorials or whatever, just like building my brand. And now I'm, you know, in a different space, like wanting to be a speaker and get my message out, and not so much like, hi, I'm an audio engineer and this is how you make things sound good.
Yeah.
But like, even just like looking at it, some of me is just like, you gotta just like post it and let it breathe. Like, and we just scroll. I mean, how many pieces of content do you think that you like digest a day? It's ridiculous. Like, yeah. And I'm just like, why? Stop reaching for your phone. Stop reaching for your phone. So I'm like, you know, I'm still definitely struggling with that. Struggling less on a caring about the likes as much, because now I feel like the message is the important thing, and it's going to get to who it's supposed to get to. And you know, eventually, like, you know, my, kind of like my followers and stuff is gonna have to change like a little bit, because I'm changing who I am. So, you know, I do my best to just go out into nature. I love to just go on hikes where there's no service. So even if, you know, I'm jumping in rivers in the middle of winter, so, you know, it's not for everybody, but it is for me. But because in that moment, even though my hand is just like, look at my phone, but I can't see anything, it doesn't matter. You know, like, I love to like force myself into not being connected, because we're just like, it's crazy because connection is what we need, but like, we're so fully connected all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, trying to like disconnect and like take a step back and kind of like see everything for what it is.
Yeah. And it's kind of mind-blowing, because before, I mean, I also, like I had mentioned to you, that I kind of went off for a little bit. Like, it was like, it's too much, I want to go away. It was like, you know, I had to also grieve a couple of family members just like after COVID, like within the last 3 years. Like, my family had lost like 7, and I wasn't processing it, because I had to look a certain way, because I had to put out content. No one wants to see me crying and, you know, oh, poor me, or grieving or going through all of that. And once I went away from social media, it was like, wow, look at like even the food, you know, you see everyone when they go to lunch, and then everyone's taking a picture of their food. It was just like, wow, look at this. Like, I'm fully freaking present. Like, that is just a game changer in itself, and not have to worry about, you know, what other people are saying, or then being able to catch up in real life. Like, I don't know about you, but when they say, oh yeah, Amac, I seen that you did that. Oh yeah, that I seen that. It's not even a regular exchange from a person to a person, where it's just like, how was your day today? How are you doing today? What have you been up to? Not like, oh yeah, I seen that.
Right. Well, I mean, and yeah, you've seen that, but like, that's like what, 1%
Of what you actually see in the process.
Well, of what life is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a like, it's one thought. Like, realistically, or whether it's 3 minutes or anything, it's one thought. But being present, that's, you know, there are a lot of things that I've learned over the last year. Being present and just being fully yourself, and it's all like super hard. But you know, I've had a lot of, well, I'll just say it so it's on the podcast, right? So I went through, you know, a spiritual awakening of sorts over the last 6 months. You know, I stopped working for 6 months and like went and got myself together and dealt with myself. And, you know, that's where a lot of my speaking is coming from right now, of a place of healing. And, you know, being present has been one of the most important things. People will say to me now, like, oh, you look so relaxed.
I was gonna say,
oh, thanks.
Your vibe. You have a nice vibe to it. Like, it's just so nice, calming aura.
Oh, I really appreciate that, because I am currently feeling a little stressed, but but it's good that I can still be calming and stressed. You know, that's like a W. We'll take it. It's part of the process. You know, I want to read what I made my phone background today.
Okay.
It's you can do it like it's a great weight on you, or you can do it like it's part of the dance. You know, and I say that just to say, like, because being present is about feeling how you're feeling right now, right? And when people are telling me that I look relaxed, it's because I never was before, because I was always living in my past, and I was always living in my future, like all the time, of like, this is where I gotta get to be, and it's like, yo, just like chill out, like you're gonna get there one day. Like, our life goes by like this, like, and we're missing it because we're thinking about getting there, or we're holding on to things that happened to us before, like, and reliving them over and over and over again, when it's like, hey, like, man, right now in this moment, sitting here with you, I am good. I'm good. You're good. Like, I'm not hungry. I'm not thirsty. I'm warm. Like, amazing. That's beautiful. And I can just do the steps of what I need to do to figure out tomorrow and all of that stuff, but I've got to let it come, and it's not always easy, especially, you know, like we're talking about, when I'm trying to build a whole new career, and like, oh God, I've got so many people to reach out to, and this, that, the other thing, and it's like, you reached out to one person today? High five.
I'm all check.
Yeah, right. Amazing. Like, that was, you know, remembering that, like, that's enough. Remembering that taking off is important, and that's enough. And, you know, it's so hard when so much of my success has been built on this, like, drive of doing so much. And now I just have to do enough. And that's wild.
Do you feel that your circles, I guess you can say, that they're just kind of like narrowing it down, or like people are just kind of like, I'm not messing with this new Amac anymore? Or have you gone through that yet?
Oh yeah, like 100%.
Yeah.
And that is difficult. But I am, like, you know, really enjoying myself, which is cool, and spending like a lot more alone time. Before, I needed more connection all the time, and honestly, like, that was still like a numbing thing, so I didn't have to deal with myself, right?
Yeah.
Or I was just trying to like fill up my wounds and all of that stuff that I had. So, you know, being with myself and figuring things out with myself has become like really important, and like, you know, trying to remember that everything is temporary, and you know, look, I could say like all of this shit all day. It's still super hard
Yeah,
to lose people that you spent time loving, like no matter what the circumstances are, and it hurts, and there's a lot of things to grieve in this process. A lot of your old self, you know, like there's a lot of things I can't do anymore that I loved to do at one point. You know, and it's like, but you can't, that doesn't fit like who you are and where you are right now. And you know, like people come in and out of your life for reasons, for lessons, for all of these things, and at the end goal, all of those things are to help you figure out like what you want. I think a big thing for me too was, and people talk to you a lot about like, oh, you're gonna lose people, right? They're not gonna be down for this thing where you start choosing yourself, basically, right? But then a thing that surprised me was when I kind of woke up one day and was like, man, look at all of this stuff that I left around me that I didn't even like. Like, it's not even like, oh, you don't like me anymore. It's like, well, I don't like you.
Yeah. Do I even really like you?
Did we ever like each other? Like, or were we like, you know, right? Were we doing this because of like our issues? You know what I mean?
Like trauma bonding almost. Like,
yeah, for sure. And that's, you know, that's crazy. And, you know, the thing with all of this is like, all of it's about us. All of it's about them. All of it is about us dealing like with our shit, and hopefully being aware. Yeah. And just trying to be aware of why.
And self-awareness too. Self-awareness, like when you're going through it, because I've also gone like, I'm like about 3 or 4 years into my soul, you know, adventure, my soul discovery,
like
my
that.
soul everything. Like, it's just so exhausting, especially the moments when you're alone and you realize, okay, I was a problem in this situation.
Yeah.
I was the fuel to the fire in this scenario. I was all of that. And the moments where you realize, like, I don't really even know if I really like myself. And then having to relearn to like yourself and relearn to love yourself and relearn to give yourself credit. Those are I think it's great on TikTok now, you know, like you can go on TikTok and pull up self-awareness or any hashtag you want to, and everyone's going to tell you, you got to heal. And then realizing like, you're never healing. You're healing what happened last week, 10 years ago, yesterday, but you're not even, and tomorrow you're going to have to heal whatever comes on the next day and all of that. Do you feel exhausted?
For sure. I mean, it's really, you know, a lot of people are going to tell you to heal. A lot of those people are also trying to tell themselves that they need to heal. And it's really hard work to constantly be looking at yourself and to take accountability for everything, because everything we like allowed most of it to happen, you know. And you know, like I was saying about like a big thing for me was when I realized like, oh my God, like I didn't love myself enough to leave these situations. Like, you know, it's always like people talk a lot about like, oh, I'll stick through this for like so long, but like when I'm done, I'm done. And it's like, man, no, you lacked a lot of boundaries like that whole entire time. Yeah. When if you created boundaries, one, you would have found out earlier. You know, boundaries are always you put up a boundary and someone's gonna be like, oh, I don't like that, you did that, and then you're out of a situation earlier. But because you lacked boundaries and just kept putting up with it and putting up with it and putting up with it, well, now it's gotten to the point, you know where I'm crying in a studio, like honestly, you know, and I'm like, well, I can't come back now. And it's like, shit, you know, and I'm saying that from experience of a person that's been like, yeah, you know, like when I'm done, I'm never talking to you again. It's like, yo, chill out, dog. Boundaries.
Now that you've gone through that, what do you think is the most, I don't know, what do you think is one of the greatest like suggestions or comments or stories told to you, lessons that somebody else gave to you?
That I couldn't deny somebody's experience with me. You know, whether or not I agreed that I was that type of person, that was their experience with me, whether it was about me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, being able to take responsibility, just like kind of where I can there.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, yeah, that was a really big thing for me.
Mm. What is the best thing that happened to you this week?
This week? Well, I performed one of my songs for the first time.
Really? How did it go?
It went really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working on this album too. And yeah, it's like, you know, I can't help but give myself multiple jobs all the time, like no matter how much I would love to just do one. You know, that's something I got to think about later. But yeah, so I'm putting out this album. I have the first single. It's going to come out on the 15th of February, which I'm sure this will come out after that, called Rare. But I'm doing this whole project, and I just started writing during this whole process. And it's all of my feelings and thoughts during healing. And I want to put the album together of like, these are all of it, you know, like the one song is called Fuck Up. Like, and it's like, I've been fucking up, all my life, you know, and like, who hasn't felt like that? And I
so relatable.
It's like so relatable. And, you know, and Rare is about like choosing yourself and whatever that means, you know, and there are a lot of other songs and a lot of other emotions, and I want the album to kind of take people through the healing process and just like, you know, or my healing process first of all, and letting them know that it's okay to feel these kinds of ways. You know, I think for me and probably for a lot of other people, like, we were told our emotions were too much growing up, and nobody wanted to deal with them, and nobody asked us why we felt that way or tried to help us process them. And for a long time in my life, I just felt like these emotions were bad, and I couldn't feel them, so I shoved them down forever. And it's just normal to be a human and honestly, like, be all over the place. I mean, think how many different emotions do you feel like every day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a lot. Like, like so many. And like, if we allow them, they don't control us.
Right.
You know, and that's really hard. But I just want everyone to know, like, that it's okay. Like, you're okay. It's okay to be messy sometimes. Like, everybody's messy sometimes. Who's perfect? Nobody's perfect. We all mess up. We all get in our own ways. We all have ruined a relationship with somebody at some point in our life. Like, but the best we can do is the best we can do, and you get to try again every second, every minute, every day.
What's your favorite song?
Ooh, okay.
This
so
project.
On this project.
Or anything. Well, we can go into that too, but
yeah.
What is the song that we should be looking out?
Well, so for right now, I mean, Rare. There's also another one called On One, which actually started this project, but I didn't know it at the time. And those are the only two songs that are going to be out. My favorite song on the project is actually this song called Okay, which I do not have the verses done for yet. And I mean, I've probably written about 20 verses for this song, like so many. But and the hook is great, and the pre is great, and like the things I've written, I'm like, these are good, these are saying the thing, but like, it seems so, and it's not that I'm trying to be perfect. Like, I'm not, but I know that there's like a certain message, and I can't stop until I find it. And with the other songs that I finished, like, I found those things, you know what I mean? So I know it's on the way, and I'll write it as many times as I have to, and I'll get frustrated with it as many times as I have to, because I know the message of that song
is gonna be good once you.
Yeah, it's really, really important. You know, I want to eventually have shows like where I kind of, you know, where I put like all of these lyrics up behind me and I have the audience singing them all with me, because it's not like there are songs, you know, this is going to be a place where I want the audience to allow themselves to feel whatever they need to feel and whatever those songs make them feel.
Invite me to one.
I will.
Let me know. That sounds fun. That sounds really
It is gonna be fun. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna cry. It's gonna be a beautiful time.
We're gonna sob, and then, you know, feel relaxed and just, I don't know. I always like to say light. I like to feel light, like when you let
when
things,
you release.
Yeah, when you release, then it's like, oh, it's just a feeling. I actually did that this week with my parents.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man.
It was a good, it kind of like was like one of those things where you go to a family party and then someone says something and you just don't, it's one of those like, okay, old Justina would have probably been petty. The new Justina is going to choose to walk away because I just don't want to feed into that. So I chose to walk away. So I actually like just kind of started talking about the family to my parents and like, oh, this upsetted me. And they're like, what did you do? What did you say? Because they know me. And I said, well, I think I would have said this, that, and that before, but now I feel really good walking away. And then I just kind of looked at my parents and my dad, you know, they had my brother young. They were 17 and my dad was told that you have to quit high school and you have to work at a construction site and this is what you're going to do and this is your house and this is what you're going to pay. And he was told to do everything. And I told my dad, like, I don't think I've ever told you, but thank you. Like, I don't think I've ever told you, but you sacrificed a lot and you're still, you know, in your 50s and you're working hard still. And I've been only a mom for like 13 years and it's hard out here. It's hard being like trying to raise, you know, kids and trying to, you know, do the best for them when you're trying to figure out what's the best for yourself. And like, I don't think I've ever told you guys, but thank you. You guys, I think I'm a pretty decent person. So thanks, you know, mom and dad. And I've felt so much lighter after that. And I think was the most beautiful moment I got to experience with my family. And, yeah, sorry.
No. That's
I had to share that.
No, that's amazing. People need to hear that family stuff is really difficult. And you know, I've been able to heal some stuff with myself, but I've still got to do it with them, so I can't speak on it yet until that happens. But you've maybe inspired me to get it going.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad I could, because that was hard. And even after I went and texted my best friend, I was like, you're not gonna believe it, I just had a moment with my parents. And I'm like, you know, I'm proud of you, that was great, like, oh, that was nice. And I'm like, whew. When you're starting to look into like motivational speaking, because I mean, yeah, like you can hold a good conversation, what is something that you do to prepare yourself for that?
Oh man, well, it's really crazy because still right now I didn't give my first speech until March 23rd of last year, so it hasn't even been a year. And terrified of public speaking, terrified of going in front and performing my songs. It was really funny because and I get so nervous, but I'm for what, like, now I just know that it's my purpose. And it's like so it's fine. Like, I'm just gonna be like scared and like still go up there and be a huge presence because I know that that's important. But like while I was waiting to perform this song, I was like I forgot the second line. I went in the bathroom and I was like, I'm listening to it. I'm like, okay. And then I was just sitting there and just to myself, and I was like, Allie, you know these words. You know them. Stop thinking you don't know them. You thinking you don't know them means that you don't know them, but you do know them. Like you literally just like mixed this song like 6 times. You wrote it, you recorded it. Like, you know it. Go up there and own it. But I also do a thing called Toastmasters. Have you ever heard of Toastmasters before?
No.
It's like a public speaking and leadership group. There's a lot of them all over the world. So that's why I'm like literally there's like 300 meetings in LA alone, but it's all over the world. So I've done that. They've really helped me write speeches and help you practice your speaking. Even like a few times during here, I'm like, I'm saying and ah.
I know.
It's like, just take a breath, think, you're fine. So I've done that. There, I did one.
No, I'm like, I'm a person. Yeah.
Always, for me. But so I've done that, and I also got myself a motivational speaking mentor. One of my friend's dads just happened to be a motivational speaker, like worldwide. Like, he lives in South Africa. It's crazy, and he's like helped me a lot. But I mean, I practice. I just practice. Like, even, I gave my speech at Stanford, which is an hour long. And I did use a teleprompter for that, right? But I still had to know it.
Yeah.
So I practiced that every day for 10 days. I mean, and that's with writing it and just delivering it and recording myself and listening to myself to see like what my tone is and if I'm all over the place and, just working on it. And it's the same thing, just like I said, when I was getting into audio, of talking to anyone who's willing to talk to me about it.
Right.
Any kind of knowledge. I mean, I go on, the stupid, like, I don't want to call them stupid. I apologize to all the people who have put hard work into these things. Like, this is the free training, and of course they're trying to get me to buy a thing at the end, but they're each of them is going to give me different information. Like, just like looking up information, talking to anyone who'll talk to me, going on those free calls, finding anything. I somehow got a mentor, you know what I mean? And then just being me, being as prepared as I possibly can and trying not to be perfect.
Do you talk to yourself in the car?
I talk to myself everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, no, because I'm like, I realize that I do that a lot, but I mean, I thought it was just because, you have to practice on what to say. Because for me, I know my grammar sucks. I have poor vocabulary, but like I could talk to anybody about anything for hours and hours. And then also like, I'm like, I'll just talk to myself in the mirror in the car all the time. Well, I thought that, I'm like, is that normal? Do you do that?
Like, most people, I think, talk to themselves.
Okay.
I think we need to talk to ourselves. I think maybe I saw this somewhere and I might be totally wrong, but I think like our voice is like soothing to us, and just being like, hey, like, if you need to, like, hey, you're okay, or you need to practice, or just whatever. Like, it's how we process a lot of the time. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in like a year? Let's do a year.
A year. A year, I see myself delivering my message, whether that's in speech or in performance as an artist or on podcasts or anywhere. I see myself having a small team in a year that's helping me get these engagements and just working together to be successful and to help other people be self-aware and find themselves, and go into a lot of national parks.
Where's one that you want to go to next, for sure?
Man, it doesn't even have to be a national park, but I really need to go to Arizona. I really need to camp in Arizona.
Have you been to Joshua Tree?
I have been once.
Is it worth it?
Joshua Tree is amazing.
Okay.
The only thing about Joshua Tree for me is, and no disrespect, I know Joshua Tree is great. It's beautiful. Boulders are nuts, but there's no water there because it's the desert. And I need some rivers. I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a water sign.
Yeah.
I'm always jumping in water and being crazy. So that's really important to me. I guess going to Arizona is probably a desert too. So
and I'm like,
where you going? No. What am I talking about? The Grand Canyon, literally the Colorado River goes right through it. But we'll see. But I want to go to like every national park in America. I'd love to say the world, but I want to go to every national park in the world.
There you go.
Mark that down.
Mark it down.
You're going to see that. It's going to be like 89-year-old woman finally achieves her dream of going to every national park in the world. And that's going to be me, guys.
That would be dope, though. Imagine that.
We're manifesting it right now. But yeah. Overall, I just want to be living as myself in my purpose the best way that I can. And helping take care of people around me.
And that's even though it's like I just want to, that's still that is like a lot. Even when people, I just want to live a good life, just remember that's a worthy, amazing life. I think the little moments of making people feel like they're not alone, or making people feel that they're heard, that carries mountains, that pushes things.
Well, I think, okay, I have to change how I said that, because I'm working on that now. It's not that I want to. I am doing that. I am. I have all of those things.
Oh, you just like hooked my heart with that one. Hold on, Joe. Hold on, Joe.
We're having a moment, Joe.
What is something that you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting in the music industry?
I mean, there's so many things, but I think the one thing that I would say to myself is just go in for the experience, because you love to make music, because you want to make an impact and create, and not that you're gonna be validated by it. So many people's goals are to get platinum records and Grammys, and those are great. They're amazing. But I know from my experience and from other people I know's experience that many times we achieve these milestones and we get them, and they're not what we thought. They didn't do what we thought they were going to do. And the thing is, getting a platinum record, or however many platinum records you get, or a Grammy, is just not the end game. Like, life goes on. It's not like,
I'm done, that's it.
Yeah, that's it, cool. And I've seen a lot of people chase that high as well, of like trying to get back there to number one records. And look, some people get a ton of number one records. Some people get a ton of Grammys. Some people get a ton of plaques. Some people get one, and that's amazing. Any number of those things are amazing. Getting to make music for your life is amazing. And it's an incredible experience that I would tell myself to be present for more often than think about the accolades that I was trying to get to prove that I was a worthy human being.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was really beautiful. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Amaculent. That's AMACULENT. And that's also my website, www.amaculent.com. And you can find me in real life. I'm out here now.
I'm out here. But for you, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. And I think it's going to help, somebody who is going through that, not just in the industry, but in any career that they, are in and experiencing that. But with you, I, hope you stay driven, stay focused, and stay blessed.
Thank you. And here's my arm.
Here's my arm. And until next time, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I am Justina Emily, and we will see you soon.